Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Colleen and I am so happy you could join me here today. It is a gray day outside. We've had rain for more than 24 hours and it's just started to subside now. I don't see any more drips in the puddles out front. To give you an idea, it's just stopped. And about an hour ago the mist moved aside from the mountains and we could see the snow on top, and it's down quite a ways. And so we know that we are officially in the fall, and there's no question about it anymore. Here in Canada we celebrate Thanksgiving in October, and for us it's just about 12 days away. So I thought this might be a good time to share a couple of side dishes with you that you may not have made before, or maybe not even seen before, but maybe you make it all the time and just need to be reminded about the dishes again. So I am going to gather up the ingredients for the first dish, and we'll get started right after this. Okay, so today we're going to make creamed Brussels sprouts as our first dish, and if you enjoy Brussels sprouts, you'll enjoy this dish. I know that there's lots of people that don't enjoy Brussels sprouts, but it's actually a dish, sorry, not a dish, it's an ingredient that we have probably 3 or 4 times a month. Not quite once a week, but definitely more than every 2 weeks, because we really enjoy it. We're going to start this off with getting this turned on. Let's go the right direction. I'm going to go to about 350 on my electric pan, but medium if you're on the stove. And this is approximately a ½ pound of bacon. You can definitely add more or less bacon. Some of these end pieces are just almost completely fat. That's okay, we want the fat in this recipe. I'm just separating the segments a little bit so that they cook up a little bit faster. Now, I'm sure most of you have traditions around Thanksgiving and people in your family who you cater to during that time. I always love to have the things that my family loved. Neither of my younger sisters are going to be with us for Thanksgiving this year, but my sister Lana, we always made sure we had creamed corn out of the can, because that was one of her favorite things to eat. And my sister Roxy, we always saved the neck of the turkey for her, because she loved to chew on that old turkey neck all day long. So we have little traditions that went along with it. We definitely always tried to go around the table and ask everyone what they were thankful for. And it was great to have everybody around, especially after a busy summertime. And because in Canada we do have our Thanksgiving earlier, it's just first thing in the fall. So I moved my garbage can. Now I'm just going to wash up my hands and get this stirred. I hope this isn't too noisy. It might be. I'll try to speak up. I do have a mic that I can use, but I prefer not to if I can get away with it. So I hope you don't feel like I'm shouting at you the whole time. So I have here 2 pounds of, in fact I'm going to move this aside. Put it back there for the moment. I have 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts that were really dear in the store today. Man alive. I couldn't believe the cost. If they're bigger, I'm going to, maybe I'll put these in here. If they're bigger, I'm going to cut them in half. Smaller ones, I'm just going to leave whole. You want to definitely clean them up. Make sure that you're getting all of the bad bits off. I've washed them really good. because a lot of them come with dirt in them, so you got to be careful and cautious while you're washing them up. But these things are really good for us. They're high in a lot of the vitamins and minerals that we need. They're really high in fiber. There's lots of reasons to eat a Brussels sprout for sure. I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees. And the way I see this meal going down, I mean, I'm just making these sides today to show you a video. But the way it goes down on Thanksgiving is the turkey goes in the oven, and he's the master of the day, basically. We all cater to everything being cooked around the turkey. But a properly cooked turkey, or for that matter, any kind of meat that's been roasted in the oven, needs time to rest. And so when I take the turkey out of the oven, or the roast, or whatever it is that I'm working on, I am going to put these side dishes, crank the oven up, because I wouldn't cook meat at 400 degrees. I'm going to crank the oven up to 400, well, 375 or 400. Today it's going to be 400. And once I've got it hot, the turkey is sitting resting, then I would put this dish into the oven and keep the turkey covered, put it loosely with a bit of foil. That helps the meat to relax and will give you a tender and more juicy bird. And he can just be relaxing while your vegetables are cooking, and that will give you fresh dishes. There's a lot of this dish that you can do in advance. So you can definitely have cleaned these all the day before and got them all prepared, and not have to worry about them on the day of the big show. Okay, now it takes quite a bit. Did you hear? Did you notice the difference in the sound? As the bacon starts to cook down, the moisture leaves it. And without the moisture making all the noise, it gets quieter. But it gets a little more poppy sounding. You hear more pops. But it's not as quiet as, or not as noisy as it first was. Okay, let's get these guys finished off. And I'm trying to rush through them, so I'm not holding up too long. And these two dishes, this one is a little more complex than the next one. But really, if you follow along, I know this is something that you can do. Most of my recipes are really simple, but this one can be that way as well. Wow, I think I'm going to run out of space here. Now, I am letting that make all sorts of noise. While I have the Brussels sprouts here in the pan, I'm just going to keep moving them around. And getting them just softened a little. Here in the background, I am going to take a shallot. I have two, but I'm not sure that I need to. I think one will be enough. Now, a small onion would work for this too. If you don't have shallots in your home, which I don't on a regular basis, if you don't have them in your pantry, then I just use a white onion. Just the flavor of a shallot is a little bit different, and this one's very, very powerful. I can smell the smell. And so we're going to want to cut this really quite fine. And in fact, my guess is you could probably use a grater. There's my oven coming up to 400 degrees. You could probably use your hand grater on this, to get the texture that you're after, I am going to just cut it all up. But if you have a box grater that has the big grater on it, I should have gotten it out. Let me move over here a little bit. I'm not over in the corner on you. I feel like I'm playing peekaboo. Okay. Oh, this is a powerful little shallot. Let's get this taken care of. And I'm just going to reach over here, give these guys a stir. I don't know if you noticed, but maybe you can't see, but they are starting to take on a little color, which is just the way we want them. Just keep at it. The pan is getting a little dry now, which is okay. We're not worried about that. I also have right here some fresh thyme that I grew in my garden. May be the biggest size of thyme leaves that I've ever grown. They're really big, but the plant got enormous. It seems like it's the perfect year for it this year. I need about a half of a teaspoon of thyme. You could use dried thyme. Like, don't go out of your way to buy things that you're never going to be able to use all of. Just let's keep it as thrifty as we can, because putting on a Thanksgiving dinner is a big enough expense on its own without adding to it. So I'm going to just run my knife through this good, because there are such big leaves. I want to make sure that I have the right amount. I do. I'm also going to need 2 cloves of garlic. So let's get those minced up while we're at it, and then it'll make it easier for us to go ahead with the last bit of this. Stir again. You can see so far it's not too complicated. And get rid of the big knife now. And I've got one of these handy dandy. I don't usually use it, but I thought today I would. These garlic mincers. My husband loves this thing when he's cooking, so as you can tell, I don't use it very often. I don't even know how. Let's put those 2 back in there and try this again. And I'm just going to put this out on the board. And cut it off. Well, that went pretty smoothly. The only thing is, what do you do about those little bits that are left in there? Oh, I guess that'll work. I usually use my microflame. Okay, I think we can start moving on to next steps. So I'm going to set this and this over here for the moment, and I'm going to grab the pan. I know there's a lot of noises going on in my house today because it's cold outside, and so the furnace is coming on and the dishwasher's just finishing. Lots of distractions, but all happy noises for me. So I'm going to take this 9 by 13 inch pan. You know, don't think it would hurt to spray it. I like less cleanup. If I can avoid sticky messes, then I will. Okay, we're going to move this all over into here. Some of these definitely got some nice brown color on them. And this would be a dish you could take for a potluck. So if you've been asked to bring a dish to any time, not just Thanksgiving, but to any event throughout the winter, because let's face it, Brussels sprouts are more of a fall dish because that's when the Brussels sprouts are fresh and at their best. And today I paid $6.19 a pound for Brussels sprouts, and it took 2 pounds to make this recipe. So you would think at their height it would be cheaper, but I know that I find them throughout the year a lot less than that. So not sure what's going on with the whole Brussels sprout situation. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for a minute, get it out of my way, and then I'm going to start on these other things. So we want 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to get them in there, and I am going to add, once the butter is melted, I'm going to add the shallots to this. Okay, just going in different directions here. Actually, I'm going to add all of these things. Actually, maybe not. I'll add the shallots first because I want the shallots to cook just a little bit longer than I want the garlic to cook. Oh, I got skins everywhere. There we go. I'll get them going. And this doesn't take very long. You just want to bloom it basically because this is going to go into the oven. And so I'm just going to bloom it up. That's probably good. Oh, I can smell the butter's getting brown, which adds to the flavor. Okay, in goes the thyme. In goes the garlic. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to give it a good stir. I don't want anything to burn at this point. It doesn't hurt if the butter gets a little brown because it just really adds to the flavor. Now, we're going to start on some of the other things. We need 2 tablespoons of flour. We're going to thicken this up. I'm basically making a roux here. And so we're going to cook this for a little bit. Get the flour taste out because there are some things that are not that great about, and there is something not that great about uncooked flour. You can taste it, and it's not much fun to taste. I'm going to keep it that. We're going to need 2 cups of heavy cream. This is kind of a posh dish. Usually the ones that I fix are not that. They're more economical, but this one's a little more posh. Let's get that in there. And stir as we go, because we don't want to end up with a lumpy roux. And this makes a really nice thick sauce. Now, let's stir that up, and I'm going to reach for the salt and pepper here in a moment, which I didn't get out of the cupboard. Oh my goodness. It smells so good. And my husband's going to be so excited when he gets home and realizes that this is what I've made. That is provided, you know, there's no problems on the highway. Yesterday when he was trying to get his load down to Vancouver, the road was closed because there'd been a big accident, and unfortunately someone passed away in the accident. So it means the road is closed for a lot longer while they get the coroner out and do the things that they have to do. So he took a different route, got there anyway. We're hoping today there's no delays and that he can be home for dinner and not have to eat in the truck tonight. That's always good. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to this. It's basically a white sauce, so I definitely want to add some pepper to it. You could add a little cayenne to this, I guess, if you wanted to. I'm going to turn this down just a hair. And it's turning out to be a beautiful sauce. So happy with it. Now, we're going to add our last sauce ingredient. We're going to add half a cup of sour cream. And it just gives it like a nice finish and a little tang. So you can leave out the sour cream. I recommend you use it because it definitely adds to the dish. Get this stirred up. There we go. Look at that. Can you see it? I hope so. I think I've got it all stirred in there pretty good. And I'm going to shut this off now. Off. I'm actually going to take the plug out and set it down because we don't need it in there any longer. Let's start to assemble this thing. We want to bring back our pan that has our Brussels sprouts, and we're going to pour the sauce onto this. My island is tall here, so I'm going to pour away from me because it's the safest thing for me to do, I think. And let's not miss too much of this. Okay, let's get rid of this. And I'm going to stir this around and make sure that every Brussels sprout gets sauced. And of course, as the Brussels sprouts continue to cook, they are going to let off water, which will thin this sauce out. So don't be nervous about how thick it looks, because it will thin out. Here. There we go. Now, I'm going to top this with the bits of bacon that we had. You can, add more bacon if you choose, but this seems like it's enough. Look at that. My daughter-in-law Jenny's going to appreciate this dish because she loves Brussels sprouts too. And her and I, well, in her little family, she's the only one that likes Brussels sprouts. So this may be a dish I make when she comes to visit, because it would be the only time she would get to try it. Because it would be a waste for her to make this for her family if she's the only one eating it. Mind you, you could definitely quarter this, Jen. I'm just going to grab this bowl and I'm going to do a little more magic. If you have panko, please use panko because it's definitely the better option here. I have plain breadcrumbs. I'm going to just add to these breadcrumbs some pepper and some salt because they're unseasoned. And I'm going to add also, that was about a half a cup of panko and about a quarter of a cup of Parmesan cheese. Now if you have grate your own Parmesan cheese, use that. So I'm just going to mix that up. I'm going to grab some mozzarella cheese. This mozzarella is made for pizza, so it's very melty mozzarella. And I'm going to add about a total of 2 cups of mozzarella. 1.5 to 2. I feel like that might have been even more than 2. But there you go. And I'm going to just sprinkle the whole thing with some of these breadcrumbs just to add a little crunch to the top. And if you have this all ready to go in the oven, if you're making this, go in the oven after you brought the turkey out. happy days are here again because this is a delicious dish. Okay, folks, I am going to get this into the oven. It's going to bake for about 30 minutes or until you prick it with a toothpick or a fork or a knife even to make sure that the Brussels sprouts are cooked through, and then we'll enjoy this dish. Now, the second side that I'm making for you today, I've done it before in a crock pot, I think for you, I'm not sure. It's one of those dishes that we have, so I may have already shared with you, but I'm going to do it today so that it's fresh in your mind. I have in my little white casserole dish 1 complete bag of corn. This is 750 grams of corn. So probably, I don't know, 1.5 pounds or something. I'd have to do some math on that. This is peaches and cream, but whatever kind you like the best. And I've thawed it. It's completely thawed. What I did actually was put it right into the bowl, frozen, put it into the microwave for 5 minutes, and that took care of that. Now, this recipe goes really quick. I have 4 tablespoons of melted butter. If it sounds like a lot, it's because it is. I'm just going to grab a stirring spoon here and make sure this gets mixed up all over. You can definitely double and triple this recipe if you need to take a big pan somewhere. This would work well for that. I have half a brick of cream cheese, so 4 ounces of cream cheese. This is the tricky part because it doesn't always mix in that good. So this will take us a minute. And we'll mix it all in. I did put it in the microwave again for about 30 seconds to help me with the melting process. And it definitely makes a difference if you do that. Otherwise you end up with all these little lumps and they don't want to mix. And it's really annoying. Now, there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. I am going to need about a half a cup. I'm going to dump it in here. And I'm going to give it a stir and see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, the corn, because it was frozen, will let off juice. So if you're worried about having it too juicy, you could definitely start this all in a frying pan like I did with the other one and make a roux with the butter and the flour, and then add the cream, or you could use milk in place of the cream. And I'm going to salt and pepper this because there was no seasoning on the vegetables and nor in the creams. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to more or less flatten it out. You don't need to pack it down, but more or less flatten it out. Get rid of these. I'm getting quite a pile of dishes behind me. I don't have any dishwashers here today. Okay, now the last thing, and this is just something I like to do, it's definitely not a required element. You could put this in the oven just the way it is. But I'm going to add a little bit of parmesan to it, just to add a little different flavor. And here we go. Now this one's ready for the oven. It's going to go into the oven for the same amount of time, 30 minutes, and then it should be all ready. If I think it's not quite bubbly, if it's not quite bubbly in the middle, I might leave it a little bit longer. But at any rate, your turkey's probably going to rest an hour, and so you have plenty of time to get these 2 dishes into the oven while the turkey's resting. Okay, I'll be back with the finished products. And here we are with the creamed Brussels sprouts. Now, If you've never tried this dish before, I highly recommend that you try it. I think you're going to be quite delighted, and you maybe even can still hear it's really bubbling and it's starting to get warm in my hands, so I'm going to set it down. But yeah, who wouldn't be proud and happy to serve this beautiful looking dish to a crowd for Thanksgiving or any other event that you might be cooking a big pan for. And next comes the creamed corn. And here comes the corn. And you can probably see it bubbling away too. If you've never had corn this way, you're really missing out. Do consider trying this dish. It doesn't even look all that, but let me tell you, it is all that. You'll never go back to having just plain old corn again if you try this dish. That's it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Here's 2 side dishes that you could easily make for your holiday table that really don't take a lot of time and really have a big impact. I look forward to seeing you again real soon, and if I don't have a chance to say so before the big day to my fellow Canadians, I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.